But now it seemed like no matter what we did, let me make this point perfectly clear, I did not inhale. Don't you hate it when politicians give us those lame excuses? Me too. But yet we let others around us get away with them all the time. Checks in the mail. The dog ate my homework. And the one we men are famous for, this never happened to me before. You see, an excuse is a lie that we tell ourselves to sell ourselves and try to sell to others. An excuse is a lie that we tell ourselves to sell ourselves and try to sell to others. And until we stand up and say no more excuses, our greatest success will evade us. We need to take the personal responsibility when things go wrong. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The excuses we give that deny personal responsibility, to get us off the hook. And the excuses that try and put a spin on our actions and manipulate the other person to accept our BS. There's 3 negative outcomes from using excuses. And there's 3 steps to overcome using excuses. And that's what we're going to talk about. The first outcome from using excuses is excuses make us look weak and weaken our position. They make us look weak. Successful business people don't need excuses. Shampoo, lather, rinse, lather again. And they must need instructions on how to dry off after their shower even. Otherwise, I don't know why somebody would have invented this. Try putting this in your guest bathroom and see the reaction that you get. Or do what I did. Give one to your mother-in-law. You know, you can't fix stupid. These people are all over the place. The good news is, these are the people we're competing against. Now, there's some good competitors out there. Don't get me wrong. But what I find is that most people just don't do a great job. They don't dot their I's and cross their T's. You know, if you just show up, you're in the top 25%. If you just show up. If you show up with a plan, you're in the top 15%. If you show up with a plan and work the plan, you're in the top 10%. Now, if you show up with a plan, work the plan, and then don't make excuses when things go wrong, you're in the top 5%, and you can achieve success in almost anything. Back to the people around you and have a movie that people will want to see. And in sales, we see this all the time. Salespeople love to blame the customer. Oh, it was their fault. I did everything I could. I went right by the book. I don't know why they didn't buy it. I did everything I could. I had this beautiful multimedia presentation. It was in PowerPoint. It was 3D and everything. I even had a cute laser pointer. It was loaded up on my Apple Macintosh computer and it ran like a dream. Well, did you stop to think you were trying to sell Microsoft? Stop blaming the customer. Accept the personal responsibility. They either bought it or they didn't. If they didn't, learn from the mistake and move forward. I mean, we've been making excuses since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve. Do you know what the first excuse was? She told me apples would put more fiber in my diet. That's right, ladies. You've been accepting the blame for all our woes since the beginning of time. You know, when I stop and think about it, the biggest sin that Adam and Eve might have made was that they didn't accept personal responsibility for their choices. Adam could have gone, well, we ate the apple and we're packing. Eve, grab your fig leaf and we're out of here. You're moving to a new condo on the Lower East Side of the Sinai. What excuses are you giving that are holding you back? What is it that's being limited in your business or in your life because your excuses are keeping you from focusing on the truth, but are keeping you on the story? Feet high. Now, here's what I learned. No matter how high or low the jump, if you hold back, if you get conservative, if you try to be small, you will crash and burn. Now, I know it's a natural tendency to want to survive. I want to live as much as the next person does. But to successfully jump even a small 12-inch high jump, the only way you can do that is by extending yourself, by putting yourself out there. Your weight must be forward on your skis. You throw your arms out. And once you're in this position, you're perfectly balanced. And even off that 4-foot high jump, you will land on your skis. It is amazing. Now, if that's the same with excuses, though, if we try to be conservative, pull back, protect ourselves, and do the natural thing, we're going to make excuses to cover up our shortcomings or the shortcomings of those people that are around us. The only way we move to significance in our life is by putting ourselves out there, by exposing ourselves to the forces of nature and then trusting that it will work, because inevitably it always works when you put yourself out there. That's how it is with excuses. The first step is we have to admit that we use them. You use them. We all use them. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. My spouse should be here right now to hear this. Or, gee, I don't make excuses, but the guy sitting next to me does. Or, gee, there's some people back at work. They really need to be here. I'm not making excuses. We all make excuses at one point or another. And everyone in this room has achieved a high level of success. But to get to significance, we still have to move beyond using even the smallest of excuses. We have to admit it. The second step is to acknowledge that excuses hold us back. I mean, if we just want to stay where we are and get the same results, then keep making the excuses. But we want to improve and grow, then we need to acknowledge that excuses are a negative force in our life. And the third step is we need to accept the responsibility for our choices. That's where it all starts, with personal responsibility. Accepting the responsibility for our choices, our actions, and our results. And once we do that, amazing things will happen in our life because we've stepped up to the table. And it's the same with accepting excuses from other people around us. We have to turn up our excuse meter and know when they're feeding us a line. You just have to say, no more excuses. You're going to have to show up to work on time. Pay me the money that you owe me. Finish the job already. We've been living in this house for 3 years. Hang the drywall in the basement. Give me back my car. And that's just to my wife. By not accepting other people's excuses, they will realize that they just can't get away with it anymore. And you are now taking the power back. And then I burned my running clothes. And as I looked over my notes for the speech the next day, I realized the title of that speech was The Power of Choice. The Power of Choice. And it came to me that I had made a series of choices that day. I chose to go running. I chose to cross the parking lot. I chose to turn left and run east on Summerlin Road. There are many roads to significance in our life. Many. And undoubtedly along the way we're going to run into obstacles. My only advice to you is don't take Summerlin Road. You're going to leave here tomorrow and you have all new information and ideas that you've shared that you want to apply. And you're going to make a series of choices. A series of choices that will impact your business and impact your life. And some of those choices will be good choices, and some of those choices will be bad ones. They just might not work out the way you want them to. But it's at that moment that you will have the ultimate choice. Do you make an excuse, or do you stand up and say, no more excuses? It's been a pleasure to share the morning with you. Thank you so much. Godspeed, everyone. Thank you.